Chesky, what's it like in Lawrence? Is it like free now? Are you guys still stuck at home?
They just opened up the shuls last week, so
Anybody going?
we're moving indoors tomorrow, so they're starting up. Yeah.
And people are with social distancing in the works?
Yeah, mask, social distancing, yeah.
That means there's no schmoozing after davening or during davening. Unbelievable. It's going to be a new young Israel. What are they going to do in Woodmere?
Right. It's a little too big for, I'm not sure what they're doing.
Wow, unbelievable. Baruch Hashem. So we're going to learn how to keep our mouths shut and just daven. A great thing. And shuls will not be social halls. Huh? Oh, God. Okay. I understand that tomorrow there's a tiyul in Gush Etzion for those who are in Israel and need chilutz atzamas. That's part of what you say in the Yiratzim before Rosh Chodesh, right? You want chilutz atzamas, and I think it's needed to keep your sanity. So I think you should go. But if I would have known before, I would have done Divrei Agoda on Thursday, and Tuesday would have learned Gemara. I don't say shir to people who come, sweating, and you have to run into the shower at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then they're going to do me a favor and show up to show their smiling faces at 6 o'clock. So there will not be any Talmud session for the locals tomorrow, which means therefore you poor boys which are sitting and learning in Chutz La'aretz are going to suffer. It's not your fault, but I just in principle won't do this. I will not teach the people just come, they run off for the football team. Oh yeah, what does he got to say? It's not by me. It's a bizoyin, a Torah, and I can't. And once again, there's certain type of shurim that can do it. I can't. I simply can't. It's against everything I stand for, which is called Amalah Torah. You can only do this if the type of shir you have a glass of whiskey, a cigar, and your legs up. Then that's I don't mind, but that's not what I think it's supposed to be. So it's not going to happen. So tomorrow you have plenty of time to finish this Ramban and really know it. Okay, I've been getting questions here and there. It's very clear to me that people may have perused the Ramban, but haven't read every line carefully. I made those numbers there on purpose. And each number is a hand grenade, a mine, okay? If you see in the photo I sent to the Ramban, if I recall, you have it numbered. I suggest you figure out what I mean with those numbers. Should take your time. Basically, it should take time. Okay, I'm going to do I want to do a study of the different sugis and shas with this idea of the Gemara Bava Basra here, and then we will do the Ramban. I mean, we've done a lot of Yesodis through the Rishonim, but after it's all going to come together in the Ramban. But first, let's just start with the basic Gemara. The Gemara said we can now incorporate many things we know. The Gemara said that ha'emer ish pleni b'ni b'chor lo yitol pishnayim ish pleni b'ni lo yirshim achiv lo yamar klum shehislam mashe kosav b'Torah. We understood that Aleph is a Meirish, which, as I explained, it doesn't mean that his death is active. God, I mean, however, I think I thought that death is not an active reality; it's quite passive. It's the ultimate passive. It's a passive transition, but as we explained, it's your ownership. The ownership of the live person, which is deceased, continues being his ownership in a corporate form called Tfisas Habayis. If you recall, I brought you the Rashi in Bechayros, which says that the moment is still called Nichsei Ha'av. Nafkamina is for being poided. You have to be Moshe a Kalbin or not. The Gemara in Bechayros, Rashi said that as long as it's Tfusa, it's called that not that someone outside is being poided, but the father is being poided of itself. Because that's what it is. It's your ownership continues in a limbo reality, which the controllers equals active shareholders or controlling shareholders of my assets are the heirs, and what they do in their controlling, they break them. As we said, they bust the company, and therefore make it to translate their shares into a corporation into a private ownership. So we clearly see that what happens is the reason of your private ownership lies in the fact that it is my ownership. My ownership continues even post-mortem in a limbo state. Why do I say that? Because normally there's no such thing as ownership without an owner. And you're dead. And the answer is it's a very unique reality, my ownership, and the heirs are the controllers. That's an interesting, that's what's called tfusas habayis. Okay. Now, why do I say that? Memelis, it comes out that the reason they are Yerush, that they have what they have is it's my ownership. Now, obviously, what does it mean? Now, I own everything I own, even post my death. Let me explain this. Now, normally, if I'd be a ger shemeis ve'ein lo yorshim, what happens to my assets? They become hefker because there's no one to control them. There's no owner, and there's no such thing as owning if there's no one to control it. It's hefker. So your ownership ceases to exist, and now it's hefker. That's if you have no people to continue. But if that's the case, what happens about me? I, Bochshem, have children, okay, and I have brothers and sisters. I have a family. What happens if I get passed away? If I'm going to say that also, since I die, therefore I do not own it. If that's the case, I could never sell anything post my death. Equals if I sell this pen now, the sale should annul with my death because I never owned it at the time post my death. And if it's not true, and we know it's not true, I sell something even after my death, it continues the sale. It's because now during my life, I owned it for all the time of the object's existence. Now, while I'm alive, I own the object for all its existence and the time of its existence. And therefore that I now own and I now control, and therefore I now can sell. So I actually, while alive, I own it for all of its existence, and then I can sell. After I die, there's nothing, I agree. If I'd be a ger, sorry, it becomes hefker because there's no one to control. But at life, he owns it for all the time of the object. Yet at death, since practically there's no continuance, there's no continuance, and therefore practically no ownership exists with the no owner. By a Yeresh, it's not that way. By a Ben Yisrael, there is continuance. Why is there continuance? Because since there's Yoshim, my ownership transforms into what we call a state, tfusas habayis. And at that stage, what happens now? It's a new type of ownership. It is my ownership, which there is a controller. Who are the controllers? The heirs. I told you, it becomes a corporate reality in which my ownership is now controlled by controlling stockholders called the heirs. That is the chiddush of tfusas habayis. Now, once that's the case, so therefore I understand, since all Yerusha, even the tfusas habayis, is nothing more than a transformation of my ownership. And even when it's in tfusas habayis, it is my ownership, my bailus, which is controlled, I say the word controlled, by the heirs. It is not theirs. It's called tfusas ha'av. You look at Rashi and Bechayris, I mentioned it quite a few times. Okay? It's called pidyon of the father. Rashi writes it mefurish. Not the father. The father's dead. Pidyon with the nichse father, with the estate of the father. Well, once you understand that, so it's clear when I say that I am the Meirish, what does it mean? It doesn't mean that my death is an active divider of assets. It means my ownership is the reason of all this. And therefore, I have the right now to decide how my ownership will be transformed. There's a natural transformation into a corporate reality, which has everybody as shareholders. I can define how my ownership will transform with other types of shareholders, with different rights within the shares. You get more, you get less, so on and so forth. These are all nothing more than, I would say, than a development of my ownership. That's what everything is. That's what we meant when we said that you can make a t'nai. While you're alive, you're the bailim, because the mice is yours, the mammon is yours. In which mammon? The mammon you have in the object even after you die. That mammon which will ultimately transform into tfusas habayis. You can define that tfusas habayis because you're the bala mammon. I had to clarify that because I know that some intelligent boys did not understand it accurately. So that's why Tnai works. We also pointed out that Tnai does not mean a condition. It means a stipulation, because without that, we wouldn't be able to understand the Mishnah in Peya of Almanas Ein Bo Chves Leket Shikra in Peya. Or Almanas Shelot Tashmiteni Shvius. If you learned the Gemara in Makos Gimel Amid Beis, guy says, I want to make it, give this loan. I want to stipulate with God, so to speak, that Shvius should not work. So there you can simply say, and if not, it's not a loan. What's the halacha? It is a loan. Now we have to ask why, but that's the thing. Anyway, so it doesn't mean that. So it's just a stipulation. That's number one. That's when we point out. So then we thought you can make a stipulation. What kind of? Where did we learn this halacha of stipulations? We learned it from Bnei Gad Bnei Ruvain that you can stipulate something to make a custom-tailored halacha, and we discussed this. Okay. Now, can you also be oiker the halacha? Now, here's something I have to add, which is the two things. One of them is a Rashi in Makos Daf Gimel Amid Beis. We're constantly looking for the source of Masa Masha Koser. Well, let's look at Makos Gimel Amid Beis for a moment. And there the Gemara says, it's like, what is it? 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 lines before it widens out. V'amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel ha'emer lechaveroi amanas sheloi tashmiteni shvius mishametes. So the Gemara lemer kasav Shmuel masna masha kosev b'Torah who v'chamasna masha kosev b'Torah tnai boto equals even by dinei mamanis, because we're talking about a tnai shebemamin here, right? And we say what? We say Tnai is bottle. So the Gemara, Chamas Mashkus Tnai bottle. Va'itma, did we not learn? This is the Bryce that you learned together with me and Bab Metzia. Ha'aymer lechavera amenas she'en lecha einah. Rav Amar yesh le olav einah. Shmuel Amar elav olav einah. And here we're talking about Tnai shebemama. And we understand that what? That lechaira, if Shmuel believes which means he believes Tnai Kayim, which means the Chayre he ordered Masa Masha Kosim B'Torah by Davar Mammon, the Tnai is Kayim. Now I'm going to using this language because that's the language of Rashi. It's not because we say in that case it's not called a Masa Masha Kosim B'Torah. Listen to me very carefully. It is a Masa Masha Kosim B'Torah, but the Tnai is Kayim. Read Rashi. Right. Well, in a minute we'll see that. Okay, the Thoshan the Gemara. Why do we get? Do you think that he held it Master Masha Kosev B'Torah? You're trying to say that Tnai is, the Gemara took for granted that he believes that what? This Gemara took for granted that Shmuel is according to who? Is according to Rabbi Yehuda. The Tnai is Kayim. Master Masha Kosev B'Torah, Tnai is Kayim by Mama. That's the stomach of the Gemara. Right? And the Gemara doesn't take a difference in Yada Machal and Lo Yada Machal, or between Vade Ka'akar and Lo Vade Ka'akar. That's not part of the Shaklataya of the Gemara and not mentioned in Rashi. I say this because Taisus does bring it up in Divrei Shmuel, but Rashi does not, and the Gemara does not, as opposed to the Gemara in Bab Metzia, which elaborates on it. So the stomach, the Gemara, and stomach, the Rashi implies that this sugya does not even think there's a difference. Where the Yada, there's no difference between them, between Shvius and between Einor, and all goes according to Rabbi Yehuda. Or anybody who learned the Gemara Bab Metzia, it's a nice way of saying this sugya goes according to Abaye. That Abaye says he argues with the stomach of the Gemara before. And he believes that Eino Chinami, Rav goes according to Rav Meir and Rabbi Shmuel according to Rav Yehuda. That's how Abaye says. That is also the stomach of the Gemara. The Rambam points out that the stomach of the Sugis in Shas. Also the Sugi in Ksubas Pei Gimel, where he writes it Mefurish there, the Ramban, and also the Chedusha Rashba there. Right, that the Sugi in Ksubas Pei Gimel, which I asked you to look up, which I'm going to have to do now, also takes for granted that Rav holds like Rav Meir and Shmuel like Rav Yehuda. That's a given. Okay, I want us to understand that. Why do I say that? Because we know the Gemara says in Erevin Memvav that the Machlekes Rav Yehuda and Rav Meir, the halacha is always like Rav Yehuda. And if the whole din of Shmuel is based on Rav Yehuda and not on Rav Meir at all, is a major nafkamina. Because if it's something which can work with both of them, then there's another cloud, Rav Meir and Rav and Shmuel. So by Mamonis, the halacha is like Shmuel, and by Yisurim, the halacha is like Rav. That's like Morim B'chayris Memches. If this Machlekes HaMeroim is not totally in the Tanoim of your beauty of Rav Meir, but everyone says it according to everyone, then it's a Machlekes HaMeroim. So that's a new question. By Einoah, is it Yisurim or is it Mamon? On one hand, there's an Issa of Leisainu. On the other hand, there's a din of Chi of Mammon. Now, what is first? Is there a Chi of Mammon, and how does it work? How do we understand Leisainu? Machlekes HaRishonim, if you really want to know, you can look this up in the Rashba in Bab Metzia, Daf Nun Aleph over there, Amid Beis, where the Rashba brings the member of Rava and points out a Machlekes HaRishonim in this. This is all based on the Anacha that they think that the Machlekes goes according to everybody. Anybody that Paskins has this issue because they understand this Machlekes is not telling Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir. Nothing at all. Both Rav can go both a contributor and Rabbi Meir, and so to speak, and Shmuel can go both a contributor and Rabbi Meir. That means we have the Svaros of Vadai Ka'okar and we have the Svaros of Layoda Umachal. That's what it boils down. Now there are plenty of Rishonim that do that. They actually believe that the Stomach, the Gemara, is not like Abaye. We don't paskin that Abaye, and we think Rav Anan is a continuance of the Gemara, of the idea of Vadei Ka'okar versus the idea of Yado Macha. And as far as Rava is concerned, that once again, some Rishonim believe that Rava is nothing more than explaining Aliba de Rav, Aliba de Abaye. We can look up the Ramban later. Whatever it be, that is Tama La, according to those Rishonim. It's not telling Rabbi Yehuda and Rabban and Rabbi Meir at all. That's something else. That's fair and that's good. That's all if you don't paskin like Abaye. But now here we have a stomach of the Gemara. You look in the stomach of the Gemara goes according to Abaye. That this is not telling Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir, it seems to be what we're talking about. This is no one's bringing in the question of Vadei Ka'okar or not. No one's bringing it in. Okay, so let's go weiter for a moment. Where's the Gemara? So Amar of Anan. So we have a steer between Shvius and between Einoah. Amar of Anan l'di mefashele mida the Shmuel. Amenashe ein lecha alai Einoah ein lo elav Einoah. Amenashe ein bay Einoah reish by Einoah. Now here there's a machlekes harishonim. Shitas Rashi against everybody. Shitas Rashi is when you say Amenashe ein bay Einoah, he doesn't even mean t'nai. He's stating a fact. There is no Einoah here. And therefore, brother dear, if the guy wants to buy it, he's taking for granted there's no Einoah. And if there is Einoah, it's a mekechtos. So this has nothing to do with the dinim of tnoim and stipulations. He's stating a fact. There is no Einoah here, and there is. So it's a mekechtos. This is clearly a shear in the das saying, listen, we're making this kinyan, taking for granted that there's no Einoah. This is the reality. This is not a question of stipulation of creating a new halachic reality. It's stating a fact. You lied. It's as simple as that. And this kind of reality is not even in the Parsha of Noim to begin with. There, the halacha is this stipulation is kaya. What do we say? Very pashut. So that the guy gavna amnashe ein boyino areyesh boyino. What does it mean? And it's a mekachtos. So what is he saying? He's saying when is the whole shaila of ein lecha boyino is only we said amnashe ein lecha alai boyino. And in here, that's the memory of Shmuel, and on that, Rav is arguing. So what's he pointing out, according to this Gemara, that Rav and Shmuel are arguing only in the case when he said, Ein lecha ba, ein lecha alai oina. But if he said in first, ain't boyoino, nothing to talk about. That's what he says. What's by Shvius? So by Shvius, there's no make toys. What does it mean? So the Gemara says, Ochinami, Amanashu, Tashmiteni, Bishvius. We're talking about you, where you activate your legal right to be mashmit me by saying Mishamit Ani, Ain Shvius Misham to say. Why? Because it's a Davar Sheba Mammon, and we hold that Einochanam like Rebuda, a Davar Sheba Mammon, you can be Michael. Okay? Amanashu, Lo Tashmiteni, Shvius, that Shvius should not be Mishamit me. That doesn't work. Now, why not? What does Rashi say? So let's read Rashi. So Rashi, the Dima Farshle, Ein Le Olavaino, Shamasna Masha Kosov B'Torah, Tnoi Kayim, period. Now, we know that that's not true. It's a first Mishnah, but Mitzvah Tzadik Dalet, Stomach, the Mishnah, Master, that's the Bible, that's the Mucker. Master, Masha Kosov B'Torah, nice, but that's a Davar Pasha. And it means in the Davar Sheba Mammon. And what's he calling it? He's calling it in Mammon, he's calling it Masna Masha Kosov B'Torah. Do you hear what I just told you? It's not that we're saying that by different Mammon, since it's the Shirav Mechila, it's not called a Masna Masha Kosov B'Torah. It is a Masna Masha Kosov B'Torah. So please translate the words. You are stipulating against the directives of the Torah, but it works. Now let's try to understand what that means. But it works. I don't understand. If this is Mechila, why is that called stipulating against the Torah? Look at the language. The Dima Farshli Ein Lecha Einosh Amasna Masha Kosov B'Torah Tnai Kayim. V'im Amalei Amna She'ein Boyayno Ein Ze Masna She'yimchol Lo Yanosai Ele Hisna Ima She'eino Eineo B'Mechazeh. Right on the Rayim She'yesh Boyayno. Of course, Rashi writes by us and Mitzi and not because of Mekich. If you saw the Lashon and Rashi and Mitzi and then Aleph on mid base, he brings he adds that added idea of Mekich. That's a double push. So what do we see in this Rashi so far? Almanasha Ein Lecha Alai Noi is a Tnai of Mechila. That's number one. That's the Lashon of Rashi. What else we learn? And that is called a Master Al Mashe Kosov B'Torah. Now that's an oxymoron. Mechila is also written in the Torah. Why? By making it Tnai of Mechila, is it called Master Al Mashe Kosov B'Torah? Why is it called Master Al Mashe Kosov B'Torah? This is the question on the table. Let's remember, this Gemara doesn't care whether Yada or Machal or not Yada or Machal. It doesn't matter whether you're Machal Nai or whether you're Machal later, as opposed to things we brought up yesterday in Das Reb Meir. According to this Gemara, the stomach of the Gemara, the Rebbe agrees in all places, by Ainoi and by everything, that what? That the Davar Shabbat is Kayim because of Mechila. It doesn't matter whether Yada or Machal or he lo Yada v'yimchal yoter meuchar. This is what this Gemara is going on. The Gemara is taking it for granted that this doesn't matter. This is Abai. This doesn't matter. Okay, now what's the Lumdus and what's the Svara according to this? Take it a step. Let me just put that. I'll keep that question holding. What's the flip side here? If you simply don't make it now, you make a statement. I'm not cheating. Well, you are. You're not overpricing. It's good price. You are. You're a liar. That's a make it toast. Then what is the parallel to Shemitah? So let's continue the Rashi. Im omer loy haleva halveni amenas sheloi tashmiteni ato b'shvius. Tnai uze. This is a tnai. Sheloi tashmiteni ato, that you will forgo your right of saying Mishamitani. V'afal pishi snoa masha kosov b'Torah. Tnai Ekayim. Why? Because it's called a Mechila. Again, go back to the first part of that Rashi. Tnai Shemama works because it's a Tnai of Mechila, yet it is called Masna Masha Kosov b'Torah. Tnai is Kayim. That's the Lashon of Rashi. It makes it a bit, you really have to work here now, because it's much easier to say. It's very simple. That's not called a Masna Masha Kosov b'Torah because it's a Tnai to be Michael. No, that's not what he says, Rashi. You are defined as Masna Masha Kosov b'Torah, but this one works. If you do asnoa, masha kasv Torah through mechila, it works. Now, please understand, why is it called this and why does it work? That's what we have to ask. But look what he says, weiter. Avo, im amole amana shel tashviteni shvius, an amanat that shvius, not you. I don't want you to be Michael. I want that shvius should not be mishamet me. In other words, you should have no right of saying mishamet ani. Not because you're foregoing the right. I want to make a loan which has the Torah foregoing the right, not giving the right of mishamet ani. Shvius is not in your hands that you can stipulate this. What is he saying? Here you have the language, what we call why Masna Masha Mikasar Torah doesn't work. It's not Moser Biyodoi Lahasnois. God never gave himself to man that you can stipulate that certain pieces of the Torah will not happen. In interaction between people, yes, I can demand a mechira, a kinyan, a mechila, and you can say you will do it. It's between me and you, but not between you and the system. The system isn't your buddy partner. And the system never gave itself to you to say you can stipulate. What is this Lamaisa therefore? So basically, it's not a t'nai, it doesn't work. More than that, l'chara, you're making a t'nai with who you're making the t'nai with? With the system. There's no such thing as a t'nai with the system. Why are you talking to me? You want to talk to the system, talk to the system. The system doesn't listen. So not only is there no milui a t'nai, there's actually no conversation. You're making, whoever said you, there's no such, who are you talking to the walls? We never heard of a concept. You're not in dialogue with the system. And therefore, the system is not giving itself to be in dialogue and allowing you even to talk to it. The system doesn't see you as a partner in deciding whether it repeal its rulings or won't repeal its rulings. This is Lashon of Rashi, very important Lashon of Rashi. Shvius eina mesura biyadoi lehasnois. It is not in the hand of the stipulator to stipulate it. It wasn't given to you to enable you to stipulate. Now, he doesn't say it won't listen to your stipulation. It doesn't say, hey, my dear friend, you may make the stipulation, we will not listen. He doesn't say that. He says, that there's no ma'aseh hatnoah. We're not in dialogue. It's the lashon eine masa b'yodei lahasnois olav. You can't even make the t'nai. He doesn't say that it is. I mean, it's a nice way of saying you can't make a t'nai. There's no dialogue. If there was given you, for example, to add things to the halacha, the system was given to you. To say Amanashir Tza'aba, the system was given to you. That the Kedusha will be Chal a month later, the system gave itself to you. And therefore you're in dialogue with the system. Masha'enke, the system to repeal itself, it doesn't happen. It was never given. Now, does he mention Bnei Gad Bnei Ruvain? No, he simply says there's no reason to say otherwise. I have no source to say that the system gave itself for repealing. It's as simple as that. Torah does not repeal itself. It's a svara pshuta. So the reason the chayra that tonight according to Rashi is it's not that they chisaron that the t'nai is not miskayim. The same reason that the t'nai is not miskayim is the same reason that it's not even a ma'aseh t'nai. Like you're talking to the walls. Equals it's gibberish. It's ki'ila amanash tala l'rakia. You said things which have no meaning. You have no partner. You want to talk to yourself as much as you want. This is basically, that's the lashon of a very important lashon of Rashi. You should understand that if you see after the Ramban in his questions, you can see how one nature of Rashi takes it all. State in Rashi. It's not just, it's adavar pashit that the t'nai is not mismale. It's more than that. It wasn't mosel yotchel hasnois olav. There was not even a ma'aseh t'nai to begin with. And I don't need to use the words aflaga or other words. It's enough to say you're talking me things which have no legal meaning. You're talking something that you're expecting things to happen. You know they can't. It's the equivalent of amnash shetala la rakia. I say, I will bury you if you turn green. Sorry, human beings do not turn green. I mean, in normal states. You don't turn green. Okay, well, if you don't turn green, that means, what am I saying? It's a garnish. You said things which make no meaning and therefore have no consequence. This is the what Rashi's adding over here. Okay, so now let's go back to Shittas Rashi in this sugya. We now see in this sugya quite a few things. A, we understand this sugya does not make a difference of Vadei Ke'oka, not Vadei Ke'oka, Yodo Machol, not Yodo Machol. In all instances, Davar Shemaman is nitn biyodcha for mechila, and therefore you can any tnai can nitn biyodcha lahasnei shalav as opposed to akir satira. But normally, but a davar shebemaman, even the akir satira is there too, because it's not akir satira. You're stipulating to the person that the person should be Michael, and there is the machlekes of Reb Meir and Chachamim. So let's try to understand the machlekes. Reb Meir believes that although it's a t'nai of mechila, afal pikein, it doesn't work. And Reb Yehuda says no, since it's a t'nai of mechila, it does work. Now this is also mefurish in Rashi in Bab Metzia Nun Aleph. We saw that yesterday, where Rashi writes explicitly. Aliber in Rav Anan over there, he writes mefurish. When the Gemara wants to say that Shmuel holds like Reb Meir, and there's a difference of Vadei Ke'oka, Loi Vadei Ke'oka. He continues and says, and he sees Rav Anon as explaining that and developing that. I'm just repeating things we learned yesterday. Hopefully you know them or have seen them, and I want to read them again. And there Rashi writes explicitly that the T'nai is a T'nai of Mechila. Here I'll read the language one more time, just to clarify that. I say this because people make it, they see some Rashba somewhere and think it's Torah Messinai, and then all the Rishonim agreed to it. And it's very mefurashim that the Rashi doesn't learn that way. Okay, where's this Rashi here? This is Nazov. This is the Gemara. Yeah, we're going according to Shmuel that says by Einoah, Ein Loi Olav Einoah. And we want to say that goes according to Reb Yehuda. The Gemara says no, it goes according to Reb Meir. And there's a difference of Vadei Ke'oka and Lei Vadei Ke'oka. And that the Gemara says, Amar Rav Anon, the Didim Mefarshli Minid Amar Shmuel, etc. And Rashi wrote there, Ein Lei Olav Einoah Kidaparish de Miyemer de Akar. So it's befurish that the reason Einoah works is because Miyemer de Ke'oka equals the svar found in Reb Meir. That Shmuel can go even according to Rav Meir, but since mi yemer de ka'akar, then there's no problem. And on that he writes mefurish. On that he writes that what the next line he writes she'im amar b'lashon zeh ein boyeno ein z'lashon mechila ella etc. So it's mefurish again that the kind of the machmekudas hamachlekes of Rav Meir and Yehuda is in a lashon mechila. Is in a lashon mechila. There's no question about it. Is in a lashon mechila. What's in the Kudas HaMachlekes? Why do I say this? Because there's a famous Rashba which says something else. Where's that Rashba? 1 minute. Here we are. Let's see if I can find it here. No, that's not this one. Where are you? Rashi writes mefurish that the machlekes of Reb Yehuda and Rabbanan is as follows. Let me find for 1 minute. It's not here. It's not there. Where is that Rashba? Let me just between all the Rishonim I see, I'm already getting dizzy. Okay, I'll say Baal Peh, I'll find it soon. Okay, the Rashi writes mefurish that no one's arguing that if everyone agrees that when he says mefurish, Amanas, you should be Michael, no one disagrees. They think no one thinks it's a masna mashikosa b'Torah. And anytime he says mefurish, I want that the Torah should say there is no such thing, like Shvius will not make this halva will not have a din of Shvius and Shemitah. or that this Kedushin will not make Shekshis Faina, everybody agrees that doesn't work. What's the machlekes? The machlekes when you say Ariat Mekudesh Amnashe Ein Lach Olai Shekshis Faina, what do you mean? Do you mean Mechila? Or do you mean, so to speak, that you want that the Torah should not generate this? Is this a classical loy moser liyotcha lahasnois, or is this moser liyotcha lahasnois? It's the machlekes in das bnei adam. What do people think when they say these words? Or how the Allah interpreted these words? This is clearly not Shittas Rashi. That's what I need. This is clearly not Shittas Rashi. Shittas Rashi is mavur that no, that the machlekes is by mechila proper. By mechila proper, dafka by lashon of mechila. There's a machlekes whether this is called by the mas mashakasa b'torah or not. But ein achinami to say almanas that you're oiker the halacha doesn't matter whether it's davar shebamama l'chayra or not davar shebamama. That's not the issue on the table. As we see by Shvius, you want to say almanat that Shvius shouldn't make a shemitah, that don't work. I'm sorry. It's a davar shebamama satna pachman dagd Shabbos. This is mavur in Rashi and Daf Nun Aleph and some of the Rashi and the Sugya and Makos. With the like Rashi, I don't know why I did the moment why don't I remember that Rashi but is. I feel awkward. I have to find it. Is it in Bava Basra? Yeah, it's in Bava Basra. Now I remember. 1 minute. It must be in Bava Basra. Okay, we'll find it later. I have too many books on the table. Can't find anything here anywhere. Okay, sure. It should be in Bava Basra. Okay, so this is l'chayr what's happening on the table. This is Shittas Rashi. Now, so what do I have so far? I have a stomach the Sugya and Makkos, which is clear said that Shmuel goes according to Rav Yehuda, and Rava goes according to Rav Meir. According to that, it's clear the halacha should be like Shmuel, simply because it goes according to Rav Yehuda. That's a davar pasha. L'maisa, in this we have a machlekes harishonim. Let's say this very carefully. In the Sugya in Bab Metzia, we saw originally the Gemara understood that Rav and Shmuel are totally in Rav Yehuda and Rav Meir. The Gemara afterwards says, Omer lecha Rav, I say even according to Rav Yehuda. And Shmuel says, I say even according to Rav Meir. Before we go further, because I saw certain quotations which are not correct, when the Gemara uses the lashon Omer lech Rav or Omer lech Shmuel, it does not mean they actually said so. I mean, the biggest raya is because the next line of the Gemara is Abaye says no. He goes according to Rav Yehuda, he goes according to Rav Meir. I thought they said so. So that would be a bit of a comical mistake, but it's printed. You know, we're talking about printed word yesterday. Yeah, this is printed by profound people, but sometimes profound people make stupid mistakes. Amalach is a language put in the Lashonis of the Mesadri Gemara to say he can say. So whenever you have an Amalach or Amalach, it doesn't mean that there was a dialogue. Please remember that. It will help you a lot of times because you have an Amalach sometimes with bridges, gaps of generations. They didn't even see each other and you'll have an Amalach. Okay, so you have to be very careful. That's a very important thing to remember. What you're talking about is the stomach of the Gemara. So the stomach of the Gemara is going the Maisa according to the stomach of the Gemara in Makkos, is the stomach of the Gemara in Bab Metzia, which is the Maskana of Abaye. That's really what it is. And the Gemara says that no, it's not that way. The stomach of the Gemara continues, says, no, it's not the Rebbe Meir. Everybody can go according to everybody. And here we had the Svaras of Vadik Ye'oker, and here we had the Svaras of La Yado Macha. And here I guess I have to explain what the Nekudas HaMachlekes, according to this, what is the Nekudas HaMachlekes of Reb Yehuda and Reb Meir? Here's where it gets interesting. Let's start with the Svar of Yado Macha v'Lo Yado Macha. Well, he'll be Michael later. What's the problem? What's the problem? Lo Yado Macha, he'll be Michael later. What did we say? Lo Yado, he doesn't know not to be Michael. And since he doesn't know now to be Michael, therefore, it's called a Masna Masha Kotzabeter. It actually makes no sense. To say that I'm Michael now, you say, oh no, Sheksh is fine to be Michael now. That's not called a Masna, that's called a Masna Masha Kotzabeter, but it works, right? We're going to use Lashon Rashi. It doesn't have the problem of Masna Masha Kotzabeter. By a nod to say that, you know what, your master, you'll be Michael later, that is called a Masna Masha Kotzabeter. Does that make sense to anybody? So he'll be Michael later. Well, you could say, well, I'm making it tonight, you'll be Michael. Maybe Alpidin, you can say you don't have his chayvus because it's a smachta. Okay, but if you won't do it, then the thing is button. What's the difference? I can make the tonight. If the question was, if the tonight creates a chayvus, you can say there's no chayvus because it's not smachta. But there is actually a Gemara in Kedushin which said that every amanas creates a chayvus. So you could say here the chayvus won't be chal because it's not smachta. So forget the chayvus, but it's a tonight. What do I care? Lo yado machal. Therefore, what? Therefore, we're going to say that Tanai is not Kayim. What the lumdis? How does anybody understand that Gemara Bava Metzia? Forget it's first a fuchs, for goodness sakes. What is the language? I'd like someone to explain this to me. Lo yado machal. What does that mean? But he will be Michael when it happens. Bishlem with the sugim Bava Basra. Rashi Rashbam explains he won't be Michael. He was never Michael. The other Rishonim say he can't be Michael. That's sweet. But by Enoy, you can always be Michael. And the Gemara parallels it, for goodness sakes. The same Svara. Our Gemara is based on that Svara of Yado Machal. Our Gemara is based on not like Abaya. Our Gemara is against the stomach of the Gemara in Marcus. And the Maskonis of Gemara in Bava Metzia, by the way. Please remember that when you're looking Piskei Halacha of Rishonim. The stomach of the Gemara in Marcus does not take into account Yado Machal. The Maskonis of Gemara in Bava Metzia, which is Abaya, does not take into account Yado Machal. And yet here, somehow my Gemara in Bava Basra loves this idea of Yado Machal. Question is, if you pass in Abaya, this whole sugi is Loila Halacha. And therefore the Shaklatari doesn't have to mean much. And if the Maisa of the Rambam doesn't paskin this sugya, now you know why. Okay, that's what you need when you know the different Gemaras. You suddenly see these big questions fall away so fast that it's funny. Okay, I know exactly what I'm undoing here, so I need you to have patience. Okay, no smiling, please. Okay, okay. Mayor, all of a sudden you put your picture up to smile at me.
I realized it was off.
What?
I realized it was off before.
Oh, I see. So all of a sudden he came, showed me his face. Okay. So what we have here is the chayra. What's it the svara? What's the svara of Yado Machal, not Yado Machal? How did you understand it? Bish, by Yerusha, I'm not going to be Michael. And you need to be Michael. And if you're not Michael, it doesn't work. But I'm trying to understand. So if he wasn't Michael, so what's the halacha? And therefore what? It even gets worse. He's not going to be Michael. How do you understand our Gemara? It really gets worse. What did the Gemara say? Our Gemara said, L'chayre, the Gemara asked the kasher of Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. The Gemara says, no. Afilu tem Rabbi Yehuda, asan yado kamachlo. That's where the Tanai works. Hacha loy kamachlo. And therefore, what does the Tanai doesn't work? Why doesn't it work? Like Kamacha, because you're not fulfilling the Tanai. What is the Tanai? The Tanai that you should be Michael? If the Tanai is you should be Michael, you're not fulfilling the Tanai. So the Tanai doesn't work. It's got nothing to do with Masna Mashakasa B'Torah. What did the Mishnah say? The Mishnah said the Tanai doesn't work as Masna Mashakasa B'Torah. The Gemara said it doesn't go according to Rabbi Yehuda. Because Rabbi Yehuda says there's no problem Master Mashkosta by Mamain. The Gemara answers there's no problem Master Mashkosta by Mamain because he's going to be Michael. Here he's not going to be Michael. What was the Tanai? Was the Tanai that you should be Michael? Did we learn that way in Rashi and everywhere? What's the Tanai? That you should be Michael. Isn't that true? Did we learn that? The Tanai is that you should be Michael. So you're not Michael. So what's the story? If you should be Michael and you're not Michael, what's the halacha be? The Tanai should be Kayim and you didn't fulfill it. What the halacha? The Maisa should be Batul. How do you understand this Gemara? I have a small feeling that no one bothered looking at the different sugyas, putting them together and asking these questions. Okay? Let's talk down the Gemara. So let's start with Alabez. What's the svar of Yado Machal, La Yado Machal? Let's be honest. Bechila is also part of the Torah. Why is it when I stipulate that something will happen in the future that I want to create this, but I need you to be Michael. Why is that a problem? Why is that a problem? Why is that a problem? The same Torah that says there's a chiyuv ainah says you're allowed to be Michael chiyuvim. What did I do? I made a stipulation that you will be Michael. Why is that a problem? Can someone please volunteer, or I have to do this on my own? Why was it a problem to begin with? Why is this? Once we understand it's a t'nai that you should be Michael, as Rashi explicitly writes in Makkos, and also obviously in Bava Metzia, and that's what it means. For Keret, and even the Rashba says that at least according to Yehuda, that's what he means. That's what he means. So then what's the sweat? I want you to be Michael. And what happens? So what happens? And you weren't Michael. Lo yada Michael, you weren't Michael. I want you to be Michael, you weren't Michael. Why is that called the Masna Mashu because of the Torah?
Maybe doesn't Rashi say that he thinks there's no ona? That's like I added thing Rashi adds in.
No, that's the other case. That's in the case when he says Ein Boyayna. You're mixing up in Ravanon, the first case and the second case.
Who suffered the Ein Bo'ona in the other?
David will read it again carefully. I don't want to help you see how you don't know how to read. Read on your own. Read the whole piece. Take it together. What does Ravanon say? Ravanon says according to Rashi. Listen to me carefully. He writes before that if he says Am Rasha Ein Lach, Ravanon is going according to Rashi in Shmuel al Libeder of Meir. And he writes that when the Shmuel say what he says, only by Ein Lacha Boy Einor. Ein Lacha Alai Einor. Ein Lacha Alai Einor is a Lacha of Mechila. And there Ein Lachanami, he holds according to Meir that T'nai doesn't work. Or because Loi Badik Yoker, the T'nai does work. Excuse me, T'nai does work. Because that's what he writes. But in a case where he says Ein Boyayna, he's not a t'nai, he's taking a statement that I am giving you something which is honestly priced. There it doesn't work because it's mekechtos. Read Rashi there. Do you understand, or do I have to say it again?
I don't understand. Rebbe's asking about Miniyad the Machot Svara in the beginning of Bava Metzia, on the top of Nunal.
You're not doing well. I just said it orally. You don't understand when I say things orally. Look at it. Rashi Divra Amaschol here. Rashi Divra Amaschol Avahacha. He says Ein La Avainoa Kidaparishis the Miyemer de Alka equals that goes according to Rav Meir. That's number one. Second Rashi She'ein Boy Ainoa. So he says Im Amar Loy B'Lashon Zeh Ein Zeh Lashon Mechila. This is not a Lashon Mechila like the other Lashon. That's what Rashi wrote in Makkos, if you remember. The other Lashon Ein L'Chabai is a Lashon Mechila. And that's the Machlekes of Rav Yehuda and Rav Meir. And that's the whole story of Rav and Shmuel. That's a Lashon of Mechila. But in the case where it's not Lashon Mechila, he says Ein Boy equals, it's a statement that I am honest and this is honestly priced, then everybody agrees that that's a Mekech Tosh. Read it. Mekech Tosh Nami Ava. That's all he's saying.
Asking about what's Miyada in Rav Yehuda.
Maybe I should take a day off, like learn this very carefully and know all the text like in your fingers, and then I will talk because this is getting a bit annoying. Again, according to Rashi, what is the instance in which Rav Yehuda and Rav Meir argue? In a case that I'm making a Lashon Mechila. In a case where I'm saying a Lashon Mechila, Rav Meir says that normally if it's Vadei Ka'okar, it's no good. Loi Vadei Ka'okar, it is good. Rav Yehuda says it's always good. It only depends if Yado Machal, not Yado Machal. Depends how you hold, Rav and Shmuel, right? In other words, the Nekudas HaMachlekes is only in a case of Amnasha Ein Lecha Alai Einor, which is a Lashon Mechila. Read also Rashi and Makkos. Should I read it again? This is like... Okay, we'll learn Chavrusa with everybody today. Vashtet in Rashi, he says, Ein loy olav einoa shamasta masha kosa b'torah t'nai kayim v'im omer le'amna she'ein boy einoa ein ze masna sheyimchol einoa say. If you say ein boy einoa, that's not a masna sheyimchol einoa. That's exactly our Rashi here. If he said ein l'cha einoa, it's a masna sheyimchol. If he said ein boy einoa, it's not a masna sheyimchol. It's a statement she'ein boy einoa. This is Shittas Rashi. All the Rishonim argue with him. All the Rishonim learn ein boy einoa means to say that the Torah doesn't have a parshas anor. Rashbam and Tosfos here, Rashbam and Tosfos Marcus, Ramban, Ritva, Rashba, you name it, the whole gamut. Argue with Rashi. Why Rashi does it, we can talk some other time. I think it's all the Shittosai and the Gemara and Bava Metzia. Not get to me at the moment. Okay? But this is how we understand the other side. Ein boy einoa, what does it mean? Does it mean it's a state there is no, that I'm honest? Or ein boy einoa means that the Torah says that the Torah agrees to forego the Allah of einoa. That's just like by Shvius, Rashi learns that way. But somehow when it comes to einoa, he does not learn that way. And you have to ask, why? What forces him to walk? If the Gemara equates Shvius to einoa, why is it that he differentiates in the interpretation, although it's the same terms? Or the Rishonim make the exact equation between Shvius and einoa. Ein boy einoa means they're saying against the system. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. In other words, what are we saying here? This is Sugi and Makish going al Rabbi Yehuda, and we're saying that Rabbi Yehuda agrees that if you go against the system, it doesn't work. When does Rabbi Yehuda say it works? If I'm making it tonight, that you should be Michael. And on that, Reb Meir argues. So the machlokes is by a t'nai of einoa, a t'nai of mechilas chayiv, mechilas shekshus v'eina, t'nai of mechilas einoa. Is that called a masna masha kosa b'Torah, which t'nai batel? Rabbi Yehuda says, although it's called masna masha kosa b'Torah, yet the t'nai is not batel, using loshon of Rashi and Makash. As opposed to Rebbe saying, no, it's a masna masha kosa b'Torah, and the t'nai is batel. That's the Gemara. Okay, let's put this on the table. This is. I thought this was clear. I guess it wasn't. This is clear.
Rabbi?
This is Shittas. Yes, who's now? Yeah.
It's why can't Rashi hold that?
Next time we need a 3-hour session. If this is what we're doing, I don't mind. But I'm hoping to come on Sunday.
Rabbi asked the question of why is Mechila
What? Say it again. Mayor?
Rabbi asked the question of why. Rabbi asked why Mechila is considered to be Masna al Masha Kosa b'Torah.
Yes, because it is also something in the Torah. And why does Rabbi think it doesn't work?
Right. So I think
Ramban
that Rashi thinks that although Mechila is a concept that is from the Torah, the parsha of Mekach that the Torah had in mind was not one which was overridden or changed through Mechila.
In a way, you're right. I'm not sure how accurate your words are. I will not disagree with you. I'll just try to make it, tighten the screws if you don't mind. Okay? Okay. Now, the Agdara is as follows. Rabbi Yehuda believes, interesting, if it's lo yado machal, but he'll be machal later, then he thinks it's called a masna. Then he thinks that eino chinami, that will not work. In other words, a person has the right to be meichel a chayv. That's okay, but to stipulate, I give you this only if you will be meichel. That is against the Ratzon HaTorah. And now here is something really very interesting. Yet, if I give you something that you will be meichel now, that's not against the Ratzon HaTorah. That's what Yehuda says. Yehuda says that if it's shekshus v'eina, which you're going to be meichel now, that's not against Ratzon HaTorah. But if you will be meichel later by einoa, it is against Ratzon HaTorah, and that's a bit of a question, Mayor. What is the difference according to Rabbi Yehuda between Vade Yodo Machol, Lo Yodo Machol? But I know it's going to be Michael later. It doesn't mean he won't be Michael. Make it tonight. This Mekach is a Mekach if you're going to be Michael. Won't be Mekach. The Mekach is not a Mekach. What's he making? Almanas. And you accepted the Mekach. You accepted you. You accepted his chayvus to be Michael. So what do you have to say? You have to say as follows. What happens when they make him?
But Rashi says he's not mocha because he doesn't know.
Not now, but I can stipulate you'll be Michael later. Be Michael later. You don't know there's Mechila, so be Michael later. Stipulate that you will be Michael. I'm not Michael now, but you can stipulate that you will be Michael. If you needed a kinyan here, that would be an asmachta, but there's no kinyan here, it's a stipulation.
We're not talking about a case in which he says be mocha later.
I'm a little lost. How do you know what the case is? You're Michael. Let me ask you another question. On the tzad that it is, I know I'm Michael. But without that, why can't he be Michael later? I can make a stipulation. This mekach is a mekach. If you're always going to be Michael, and you accepted it. And you accepted you want the mekach on the dot that you will be Michael. The only way you can come and say no, but you don't have to be Michael afterwards, because basically it's going to be, you won't have to be Michael. Why? Because it's not smachta. Well, what would be the din then? So first of all, mechitesi, we're talking about a t'nai here. Who said there's a halacha of a smachta? You don't need a kinyan for this. That's the tzuras of Mecca. The Mecca goes, you have to be Michael. So let's start from Aleph base. B. What is the Nekudas HaMachlekes of Reb Meir in this? Let's take this for Pasha. So this is a davar pasha. I need this on the table. On the table is that's a davar pasha according to Shitas Rashi. The machlekes is a t'nai of mechila. Is that called oikad davar minatayra or not? Reb Yehuda himself makes a difference between a mechila of now and a mechila of later. That's what he said. If you hold, there's the svara of lo yadu macha. That's if you hold that way. If you don't hold that way, which we hold some of the milsa of Yehuda and Enoch and like Abaya, that's not actually true. So you have to explain this according to Abaya and according to the other study in the sugya. This svara of yadu machal, not yadu machal, is a machlekes of Abaya versus the other under Amra. Some of the sugya of Makis doesn't mention this idea, so l'chari mechitesi. So there's some study in Amiroim that we don't care if what the mechila is now, the mechila will be later, or no, we care whether the mechila is now, the mechila is later. Because if the t'nai of mechila is not mechila at all, what's the question on the table? And if Abaye believes there's no nafkamina between shekshus v'aina and einoah, in all instances there is an idea of mechila. I l'chayr lo yoda. So you're going to have to say because he's mechila later. How does Abaye explain einoah? Lo yoda mechal now, but it'll be mechal later. How else would Abaye explain this? Either that, or he's now being mechal al tzad. If there's einoah and mechal, well then what's in the Nekudas HaMachlekes? Said the other side. Abaye definitely thinks either by einoah. We understand the din of mechila, and he understands that Afal Pikein. What's the halacha? He understands that we couldn't care less if Noah or Shekshus V'Aina. I lecheb a Shekshus V'Aina. There's Yado Machal, and by Noah you say Lo Yado Machal. Well, one of two possibilities: either good, so you're going to be Michael later, or you're Michael now on the tzad that there's a Noah. One of the two. Take your pick. Okay, the problem is on the tzad that there is a mechila, on the tzad there's a no, may not work because that may be an asmachta. That may be lacking Gemiras Das. That's the honest. That one has to think about because no one brings that up as an option. So l'chayra, you're talking about mechila later. So what's the Nekudas HaMachlekes between the Gemara, which does differentiate between Einoah and Shekshus V'Aina, versus Abaye, which does not differentiate? there's an idea of saying the mechila of later is a chisorin, and the Abaye says, no, it's the same thing. That's in review to proper. I don't think I've done anything so far. I've just set up the questions, and the question which seem to be quite obvious. What's happening here? That's number one in Rabbi Yehuda. Then we have to ask in Reb Meir. In Reb Meir, if we're going to say it doesn't, if we say there's a difference of vadik yokar, loy vadik yokar, so we're going to explain. It depends what type of a mechila is, the way we explain the Shittas Rashi. But if we don't hold it nafkamina vadik yokar, loy vadik yokar, there's no nafkamina in all instances. It doesn't work. So again, we have a different machlokes of Reb Yehuda and Rabbana and Reb Meir. When we have to analyze the beauty of Meir, we have to analyze the both shitas according to each interpretation of what the machlekes is. Is that clear? I hope it's clear. So let's start from Aleph Beis. And the Aleph Beis is something that I mentioned is as follows. When you make a t'nai, what are you doing? You are basically making a component of the chalais is chal. Chalais has to be chal with this mechila. If the chalais is chal with this mechila, at the end of the day, when you made the t'nai al menashe ein ba'inoi equals al menashe ein lecho alai, I know that you'll be meichel. If hypothetically the mechila is now, was a chiyuv einoi chal or wasn't it chal? It's a chiyuv mamay. If you were the chatchila misalik your tefillah, the chatchila mamay never was chal. There's no such thing as a chiyuv mammon, which a mekach without a chiyuv mammon, which is chal. En kazeh davar. How do I? That's the idea. Enu chenami. You want to be meichel? I don't care as long. But if the mechila is something, this is Reb Meir. If the mechila is something which basically says the parsha of Einoi is not going to be chal, the parsha, I mean the chiyuv mammon of Einoi won't be chal, because it's what's mechayiv that parsha of the mammon, the mekach. This is a mekach which doesn't have a chiyuv mammon of Einoi because already it's a mekach with a mechila which is mechmeichel, which creates the chalais of the mekach. If the mechila creates the chalais of the mekach, so the mekach is chal with a chiyuv without a chiyuv without a tviyah equals no chiyuv at all. So if you stipulated mechila, which is the siba of the chalais of the mekach, you basically made a mekach which the chatchila there was no chalais chiyuv of mammon of Einoi to begin with. Even if there was Einoi now, it wouldn't be chal. And that Reb Meir believes is called the Masna Masha Kasav B'Torah. You are creating a Mecca without a chiyuv mammon of Einoi. What's the problem with that? Well, open up for 1 minute the Gemara in Bab Metzia, Daf Tzadik Dalet. Let me find 1 minute. Yeah, the Gemara says that Mishnah says Daf Tzaydaldam Nafim Bab Metzia Masna Shemer Chinam Liyas Potem Mishvua. A Shemer Chinam can make a t'nai before his Kabbalah Shmira that don't have a din of Shvuas HaShemer. Afterwards, the Mishnah says, "Kol Amasna Masha Kosev B'Torah T'nai Botel." This is the Mishnah that I mentioned. The Gemara asked the question, "Amai, why do you say that a Shemer Chinam can make a t'nai that is reported for Shvuas HaShemerim? Why is that true? It's a Masna Masha Kosev B'Torah v'Kol Amasna Masha Kosev T'nai Botel." And for the Gemara, Homani Rabbi Yehudi, the Amar Davar Shebamamet Nakayim. And the Gemara brings this. Sadia, he says, Ariat Mekudesh, the Amna She'en L'Chasher Ksus V'Oina Reiz Mekudesh Usnai Bottle Diver Rebeyer, Rabbi Yehuda Amar Davar Shebamamet Nakayim. The Gemara says what it says, and finally the Gemara says, I want to do this very carefully to find the piece of Gemara. Afilu Teimet Lavnira Rashi. So if you have Bab Metzia in front of you, Daf Tzadik Daled Amid Aleph, the second Rashi in the Gemara, I'm going to read this to you. Afilu tema reisha diktani masna shemechina lipata mishvur Reb Meir. V'haylav masna mashakasa b'tayrahu. This is not a t'nai. I'm simply saying, listen, I'm willing to be your shomer, but I don't plan to commit. You can decide, don't accept me as a shomer. I do not want to be a shomer like this. And therefore he says, V'haylav masna mashakasa b'tayrahu. El sha'amar lai, if shili is shomer shecha, ela b'kach. V'shomer le'naches l'shmira ad d'mashik le'behema. What's mechayiv the shmir of a shomer? If he makes a kinyan, the mashiach of the animal, which he has to be a shomer on. No. And very nice. V'hai ki mashich fal pirish al manash she'en la'alav shvua. V'lo shibed nafshei leirid b'teres shomerim el l'miktzas. And I didn't go into the shmira. I decided to make I don't want the it's my chayvus moment. I'm not mischayiv. So I don't have to be a shomer. Call me something else. Doesn't matter. I don't have to fit into a box. We're having a private arrangement. I'm not changing the Pasha Shomrim. Pasha Shomrim, what it is, I'm not a Shomer. I'm something else. I can do what I want, he says. Ava Bashi Yarad Yarad. Ava Mekadish Isha. Now listen carefully to the language. Ava Mekadish Isha. Michi Omer La Hareat Mekudeshisli. Listen, I mean, you should not, if you don't have the Gemara in front of you, write down the words, please. Michi Omer La. When he said to her, Hareat Mekudeshisli, Iskatchala. There's a typo here. It has to be Iskatchalei, by the way. She became Mekudesh to him. Iskatchala doesn't make sense. It's either Iskatchaihi or Iskatchalei, but that doesn't matter. Iskatchalei, V'chi Omer La Amana she'en lecha alai masna amasha kasa b'tayra. The ein ishus lechatzoyin. V'chi tafis kedushin legamer tafis. V'hevim masna amasha kasa b'tayra. What's he saying here? It's a very complex language. I'm going to say, I'll translate the words in English. When he said, Haret Mekudeshesli, she became Mekudesh to him. And when he said, but I stipulate that you do not have on me, you can't demand an obligation of share of food and clothing. This is called a Masna Masha Kasa B'Torah. Why? Because there's no such thing as half issues. Issues means share ksus v'ayina. There's no such thing as kedush. It's not a separate halacha. It is the definition of what issues is. You said Arat Mekudeshesli. You wanted to be Mekadesh. And she is Mekudesh. You hear the word? And she is Mekudesh. What do you want? And you want the Kedushin should be halfway. You want the Kedushin to be without total picture of issues. The ain issues lechatzoyin. V'chitofas Kedushin legamer tofas. But Kedushin, when it happens, all of it happens. There's not the thing as half Kedushin. You say it Mekudeshly, she has everything. I don't understand. The Kedushin is chal, and now you what's he talking about? It's Teich Kedei Dibur. The Kedushin is not chal without the Tnai. So why is he saying the Kedushin is chal? What's he explaining? Look at the language. It's so interesting. His language is Michi Ameret Mekudeshly is Katshela. That's number one. And then if afterwards you say Almanas, I'm sorry, you're messing, you're uprooting the Torah. Why? Because ain't issues the Chatzoin, and therefore that's Chal already. So when you said Aret Mekudeshly, everything was Chal. When you said afterwards Almanas, you're trying to uproot that which was Chal. That's what he writes, L'chayra, in his language. You obviously haven't seen it, so I'm going to ask you to please look at the Tzadik Daled Amid Aleph. It may need some creative reading to understand this Rashi. What he sounds like is basically that since Ein Ishus L'Chatzoyin, therefore the Kedushin is Chai, Ariad Kedeshli means with Sheksus V'Aina. And when you say Almanasha Ein B'Sheksus V'Aina, what are you doing? You just said Ishus V'Aina. Ariad Kedeshli means Sheksus V'Aina. And now you're saying Amanasha Ein B'Sheksus V'Aina. What are you doing? You're basically, what you're doing is trying to make uproot a kedushin, which you make a kedushin which is not there. Now, l'chayra in seichel, what does this mean? So if that's the case, I want a certain kedushin which doesn't exist. Nothing should happen. We don't say that. We say the kedushin does happen, just that tonight doesn't work. Rashi is trying to ask that question and answer it. He's saying the same you said, the added words, even toich kedei diber of al menas she'en sheksus v'aina, as words which have no halachic meaning, and therefore it's chal. The kedushin is chal. Masha'en kain, if it wouldn't be called, if masa masha kosem, it's a nice word. Now, what does that mean? What's the idea? Why doesn't it work? Why doesn't it work? Remember, this is by talking about Davar Shemamama. The Gemara is trying to explain a little bit of Meir here. Hello? Okay, we're going to stop now. I have a small, I'm asking and begging you, please. I need you to read the Gemara and Rashi, Bob Mitzia, Tzadik Dalid, Nun Aleph, Ksubis, Pei Gimel Amid Beis, Pei Dalid Amid Aleph, Makas Gimel Amid Beis, Gemara Rashi. I need you also to read Rashba, both in Bab Metzia and in Ksubis. And yeah, that would be enough. If you want also Ritva and Makos or Rabban and Makos, Ritva and Makos will also be helpful. Can you please do this? And I want to finish this, okay? I need you to walk out here knowing exactly this sugya. I sent you a package. I want you to know one more thing. I sent you an unbelievable Marimakai, a piece of Torah Shlema, and the Chuvas Rambam. Well, the Rambam actually doesn't say his source. He brings a drasha. We find it also in the Rambam in the Yad and the Rambam in Tshuva, that the reason a T'nai does not work by Yerusha because there's a drasha of Chukas Mishpat. The source of that is one of the favorite midrashim which he uses constantly. It's called Medrash Hagadol. Medrash Hagadol was a medrash put together of drashas Chazal. Many of them we didn't know without it. It was written in Yemen, by the way, in Taiman. Now, anybody who has studied this knows that the Rambam draws heavily, makes many drashas not found in the Gemara, quoting Medrash Hagadol. A, Moshe Rav Kook has the Medrash Hagadol. You can buy it. B, there's also a book by Menachem Kashev, a Rambam, the Medrash Hagadol. I couldn't find it online, but if someone finds the PDF online, send it to me. I remember reading it when I was younger. Okay? It's Menachem Kasher. You should, someone here will know it. If you have an Oitza Chochma, you'll find it. I don't own it. Okay? So the Rambam Taka, his source is the Medrash Hagadol. The question obviously is, why would he go to a Medrash Hagadol against a Bavli? Well, this is even funnier because the Gaonim paskined against the Bavli because they chose a Yerushalmi, and all the Rishonim say, why would they do a Yerushalmi when there's a Bavli? Interesting. Okay, so this is already interesting sugya that the Gaonim ran away from the Bavli. The Rambam chose a Medrash Hagadol. Okay, and and the Bavli seems to be saying something else. So any attempt to try to stick the Piskei Rambam in Bavli is simply funny. Okay, I mean, I don't mind, I have a sense of humor, but you don't make Birchas Torah on it. What you have to try to understand is why would he logically, if you can't find a reason, would he walk away from Bavli, Arsh Gemara Kuf Chavav Amid Beis, and choose to Medrash Hagadol? Obviously, it has to do with the relationship of Ksubis, Makos, and Bab Metzia that we are learning. If you have a good command of those three sugyas, you will understand what he's saying. Then read his tshuva. I sent it to you too. I sent you his tshuva and I sent you the Medrash Hagadol. I don't have the book. All they had was in Torah Shlema of Rav Kasher, but it's there. It's a Medrash Hagadol. Okay? Have a good evening. You have plenty of time to learn. Sunday, we go back to the barracks. Hopefully, I'm praying I'll be on campus. If I'll be on campus, we'll do an interesting live share with Zoom at the same time. That should actually be interesting.
Is Rebbe saying, according to Rashi, that it has to be the time before the Ma'aser Nesina?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think Rashi would say, is she Mikadesh with just a Amira? Or does she also need a Nesina?
I don't understand what you're saying. I'm going to say every Kiddushin is with Amira.
Right, but also doesn't he also have to give something to her?
Don't you know that every Kiddushin has either Kesef Shtar or Bia?
Right, so I'm saying, so Rashi's saying he had to give it to her before he finished his Snai?
I don't know what you're talking about. You always do it at the same time. You say it. You have to say the Tnai before you do the Maisa. You always do
That's only
Tnai
point-
before you do the Maisa. You have to stick.
I'm a-
If you do the Maisa and then say the Tnai, it's meaningless. I do have to tell that to you.
Not Machlokas, Rambam and other Rishonim about whether you need it.
No, you're talking another Shaila about Tnai Kohen Lamaisa in Dibur versus Tnai Kohen Lamaisa in practical.
Okay.
I love you. You read too fast. I don't know.
Wait, so what's Rabbi saying?
Isn't. See you
So the mice-
around. Have a great Shabbos, David. Gay learning. Don't waste my time.